Let's go. With Stan and Neil Show. Stan and Neil Show.
What's up? Welcome in. It is the Stan and Neil Show. It is episode number 26. Neil, can you believe that? 26 already?
Yeah, I would have bet the under.
We are live here on Twitch. Remember, you can also catch the show at your leisure on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Neil, have you applied for any of the 9 NFL coaching openings now across the league?
I have not, but first, Stan, I want to share that it was a sad week because the music world, the world in general, lost Bob Weir, who, of course, made his bones with the Grateful Dead and was in several other bands. He fronted, the Dead defined the counterculture movement. He was 78 years old. What a long, strange trip it was. And I got turned on to the Grateful Dead in Oregon, specifically at the University of Oregon. And that's where the relationship.
Imagine that.
Right?
The Grateful Dead being popular at the University of Oregon is just hard to believe.
Right? We had the Kesey brothers in our frat, and they turned me on to Jerry. I got turned on to it at Willamette in 1980, and saw my first show in '85. And a lot of the conversation with Bill Walton, or the love affair with Bill Walton, was how much his endless energy was fueled by the music, and the Grateful Dead was his band of choice, although he would say, why make me pick amongst the things I love the best? And he loved all the music. And when Jerry Garcia died in 1995, Bob Weir said, and I'm quoting, "Our departed friend, if he proved anything to us, he proved that good music can make sad times better." Now, speaking on my own behalf, we need good music these days. We do.
Absolutely.
We do.
Absolutely.
And we need good news.
Now, are you credentialed as a Deadhead? Were you a fan enough of sufficient fervor that you would consider yourself a Deadhead?
No. I like to fish, but I'm not a fisherman. The Deadheads are, you've got to invest a significant portion of your energy, your overall energy, your overall being, your time on this planet to getting, following the Dead and seeing, you don't go to one show when they're playing 3 nights, you go all 3 nights because they'd never play the same songs twice.
And people follow the tour around like NASCAR, right?
They did, yeah, back in the day, yeah. And
I mean, two totally different crowds, but still.
Yeah. Dale, that looks like Dale Jr., front row there at the Dead show.
Hey, you never know. But Dale Jr. could be a Deadhead. You never know. Their appeal was such that you never know who could be a Deadhead, right?
Well, yeah, they were the original jam band, if you will, and so they just they were an experience and they were a brand. I think that's probably a way to say it.
So would you say kind of Phish, PHISH, picked up where they left off?
Phish was, they talk about coaching trees.
Yeah.
Phish is a branch off the Grateful Dead tree.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like
100%.
I can't say I was a Deadhead or much of a fan, but listening to people speak about Mr. Weir makes me want to know more about him.
Yeah, he was an interesting cat. I just saw them play at the Sphere, so I'm glad I got that in, and I saw Bob Weir do a solo song at a tribute to Robbie Robertson at the artist formerly known as the Forum. So I'm glad that I got those in because I can't see the band continuing on. They brought in John Mayer eventually to replace Jerry Garcia or to take the spot in the band occupied by Jerry Garcia. John Mayer is a hell of a guitar player. But now that you've lost Bobby Weir too, and you lost Phil Lesh, and Bill Kreutzmann doesn't play with the band anymore, you're left with Mickey Hart on drums as the original. So, but a lot of good memories in those Oregon days, Stan, and a lot of memories I don't remember. But on a more celebratory note, coming out of that area, Dante Moore announcing
going back to Oregon. How about that?
He's coming back, so he's going to reportedly earn about $4 million in NIL money. He had moments this year. He was considered the second best quarterback coming into the draft if he declared. But man, after that Indiana Red C ate him up, he's only 20 years old. It's nice to see a kid realize, hey man, I need more seasoning. And I think Dante Moore does, and obviously it's great news for Duck fans.
20 years old, or 8 years younger than most of Indiana's players.
That's funny.
We'll get to the national championship game coming up a little bit later. But talking about these coaches, Mike Tomlin stepping down in Pittsburgh, surprised by that?
No, I think it's kind of the John Harbaugh thing. Eventually, you need a new voice, and he seven. I read a stat here. Since 2016, the Browns have more playoff wins than the Steelers.
Yeah.
So
that was sort of his MO. He could take whatever there was in the refrigerator, and he could cook up a meal that could get you to the playoffs. But then you'd go hungry after that because they couldn't win in the playoffs. But some of those teams, you go back and look at some of those rosters, like how do you get these guys to the playoffs? But they would get there, and then the what was it, Cinderella? The clock would strike midnight for Cinderella, and they'd be done. But he's the Super Bowl champion. He'll always have that on the resume. And listen, I don't believe he's done. I believe he looked at what Sean Payton did. Sean Payton, long time in New Orleans, and then, over time, you need to change the scenery. You need to refresh. Okay. Took some time off, and look at where he is now with Denver, and so I think Tomlin's doing the same thing. And the way these owners are impatient right now, who knows how many jobs will be open again next year if he's ready to come back.
Yeah, I was listening to a radio conversation on Sports Talk Radio, and they mentioned that the Glazer family that owns Tampa Bay, that he's very tight with them. And then they said, well, Todd Bowles is the coach. They said, well, he is today, but he might not be tomorrow. It's not like he's got a security blanket with him. And Tomlin was only 34 when he took the Steelers job, so he's a young guy still. He's in his early 50s. There's a lot of jobs out there. It'll be interesting to see if he takes a year off, or if he jumps into one of these 7, 8, 9, how many ever jobs there'll end up being out there. The way it sounds like John Harbaugh is not going to skip a beat. But I think John Harbaugh's in his early 60s maybe, so time a little more key to his decision-making.
I think Harbaugh's first in-person meeting was with the Giants, and he may be locked up in there.
Yeah, today.
Yeah, he may be. They may not let him leave, So we'll see. That seems like a good fit. Harbaugh seems like a guy who could, deal with everything that comes with coaching in New York, and turn the Giants around. But in Pittsburgh,
about Tomlin, Tomlin, Stan, I read an article where they said it was week 13. Coaches here, they get noise all the time. Yeah, that's you buy a ticket, you got a right to yell at the coach, just like you do the players. But I guess it was week 13, Buffalo at Pittsburgh, and Buffalo just ran them. Yeah, and the fire Tomlin chants were coming loud, and it was he hadn't experienced it at that level. And then it was shortly thereafter that Roethlisberger and Harrison and others came out and said, we may need a new voice in Pittsburgh. So I'm sure I'm sure he didn't wake up that day of the game against who the hell
Buffalo
played the Texans.
Oh, Texans.
He didn't wake up that morning for their game against the Texans and decide then. I'm sure this was well thought out, and when he walked off the field, he knew he was walking off for the last time. But he's gave us some great quotes, man. He's
absolutely. Whenever people asked him about how practice went, he was like, "We had a good week of practice, but ultimately these young men will be judged on how they perform inside stadiums." And a lot of people posting some of his motivational speeches, and everything that I've heard people say about him, that the strength of his method was creating relationships with people and getting them to do the best that they could possibly do. And no matter what kind of organization you're in, no matter what group you're leading, if you can do that, you're going to have some success. And he certainly did have a lot of success. Interesting, the Steelers have had 3 coaches since 1969 I mean, it's incredible the patience and the stability that they've had in Pittsburgh. It's Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin. That's it. That's the whole list since 1969. Rooney family. They believe in just letting it ride and letting a coach work over time to create stability and implement his program over years, not just a few years. And hey, we'll see how it goes. Fire him, get the next guy.
That's why you have to understand. Do you think like do you think Pittsburgh said, Coach, you can either resign or we're going to fire you, or Mike Tomlin made the decision all on his own? I kind of think the latter.
Well, yeah. Well, the Steelers said they weren't expecting it. So
yeah.
So if that's true, then yeah, it may have been his decision. And again, they still own his rights.
Yeah.
Okay. So he can't just up and go coach somewhere else without that team making a trade with the Steelers to acquire his rights. So I mean, look, let's say the Steelers hire somebody, doesn't work out. Maybe they pull the plug real quick, say, Mike, you ready to come back in? And maybe he comes back. I mean, I don't see that happening, but stranger things have happened. But these 9 coaches, you got Tomlin and Harbaugh, they've been around for a while. Some of the other coaches, not as long. And, I think it's sort of symbolic of our microwave, short attention span society. Like these NFL owners, they have no patience. They'll see a team do a quick turnaround and they'll say, okay, I'm paying you all this money. Why can't you do that? I'm paying my guys the same amount of money that he's paying those guys. So it's up to you to get me to a Super Bowl and win it. And, you have 32 billionaires who aren't used to hearing, I can't do it, or being told no, or accepting anything less than success. I mean, that's how they became billionaires in most cases. And so it's really interesting to see how long the shelf life for the average NFL coach will be now, because a lot of these guys have quick hooks. I mean, there are people in New York saying, hey, fire Aaron Glenn after 1 year.
Yeah.
So we'll see where it goes. Brian Flores is going to talk to the Steelers. I think he could be a good fit there. Didn't have a good experience as a head coach in Miami, but he done a really good job defensively as a defensive coordinator, and he may be ready to take the lessons that he learned from his Miami experience and become a head coach once again. But we will see. There's a lot to sort out in this coaching carousel this year. I mean, every day I'm looking at my way, and so wait, he's interviewing with them, and then he's going there, and then the offensive coordinator there is going here, and that whole thing. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, Flores is interesting because I believe he's got a suit against the NFL in play. So, so that's you wonder what kind of stain that is on his resume in the back rooms, so to speak. But there's a lot, and I think he's at Minnesota right now, which at defense, which is where Tomlin came from,
right
before he was hired at Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So would you say now, where would you rank the jobs now? How good a job is Pittsburgh?
Well, for longevity, it's a great job because you just mentioned 3 coaches in forever. So, you've got stability there. We talked about the Ravens job because you got Lamar and Derrick Henry. We talked about the Giants job because it's the Giants. The Falcons, because Arthur Blank will spend money because he's 82, running out of time. I think, I was with the Falcons last week, so I think the Falcons is probably a better job than the Steelers in terms of talent right now.
Yeah, Matt Ryan's going to help make that decision now. Matt Ryan coming on as the top football executive for Arthur Blank in Atlanta. So a lot of interesting stuff happening, and it's going to be a few weeks before they sort it out, because I would imagine some of the coaches still involved in the playoffs are going to be attractive candidates, which gives us a chance to segue into said playoffs.
Yeah.
Let's start with the Texans and the Patriots. Some injury news from that game. Nico Collins, the Texans wide receiver, he's out due to a concussion. And Christian Gonzalez, the Patriots cornerback, Pro Bowl player,
University of Oregon,
he is in after completing concussion protocol. So that juggernaut Texans offense loses a playmaker. And the Patriots defense has their best cover guy in the lineup. So the spread in that game was 2.5 with the Patriots favorite, and now I see it's gone up to 3.5. So
you want to refer to that as 2.5 or 3.5.
2.5, 3.5. Same thing. Just different verbiage. Okay. So 2.5, from 2.5 to 3.5. Okay. So what are you thinking in this game?
Well, what if I told you that the team advanced to the playoffs that allowed no touchdowns, tallied 6 sacks, allowed under 100 yards rushing and under 100 yards passing? You'd say, oh, those were the Texans' numbers against the Packers. No, those were New England's numbers against the Chargers. So all this talk about the Texans defense, Mike Vrabel, a defensive-minded guy, he's got a bunch of punchy-in-the-face guys up in New England as well. So this is going to be a rock'em sock'em, I think. One thing that stands, the Texans went to New England last season, regular season game, and beat the pants off New England by 20. I think it was 41-21 off memory. And they'd been 0 for 7 at that stadium prior to that. So that's kind of, they've got that under their belt. So it's not like they're walking into a place they've never been before that's got all the Super Bowl trophies and the Super Bowl's magnetism. So, and they played, the fourth quarter, they reared their defensive heads, and C.J. Stroud can't have a worse game probably than he had holding on to the football. I don't think he'd lost a fumble all year, and he lost 2 in the first half. So I think the Texans will give the Patriots all they want. A big stage for Drake May because he's being, crowned as the second coming of Tom Brady. Patriots 24-5 at home in their playoff history. So the Texans are on the come, but New England's got that New England thing going. We know about that New England thing, having lived back there.
In that game last year, Drake May had not been fitted for his cape yet. He now has the cape securely on. It fits really, really well. But I'll tell you what, you talked about that Patriots defense. I mean, they battered Justin Herbert. I mean, it got to a point in the fourth quarter, I felt sorry for Herbert because he was just getting pounded. And that O-line is just not exactly what you want in terms of the Chargers. Their offensive line, they were just getting whooped at the line of scrimmage. So, the Patriots defense, they're going to get after Stroud, and he's going to have to make some plays. I think he's going to have to perform better than he did against Pittsburgh, of course. But Drake May has not seen what he's going to see with that Houston defense. I mean, that's one of the more intriguing matchups of the season, particularly that pass rush, with Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson. I mean, those dudes are just relentless, and then Sheldon Rankins coming up the middle. I mean, that defense is playing as well as any unit still left in the playoffs, and that's got to count for a whole lot. So I don't know where to go in this game. I mean, I could see the Texans defense just completely beating Drake May up the way they did to Herbert, but then I could also see May making a statement, dealing with the pressure, because I mean, he will stand in there and deliver. And so, will he be standing and delivering for very long if he stands in there? Because they're coming after him. So this is a really, really intriguing matchup. So if the Patriots are now 3.5-point favorites at home, okay, are they begging you to take the Texans because?
No, that's a 3-point advantage for home field advantage. So there's a slight edge.
So it's 0.5. So it's basically a pick 'em.
Yeah.
Except New England's
every game isn't they're begging you, and this is they're right down the middle on this one. You said bringing it too, Stan. You know who's bringing it? James McMilner.
What's up, James?
He's got a 10-stream streak going. So he's like the Drake. He's like the Drake May of our Twitch watchers right here. So
hey, James, we appreciate you rolling with us.
Yeah, man, we do. Let's roll to Denver, Stan. You were on Denver from the get-go. They got the Bills.
Yeah.
What do you think?
So the Bills are actually favored, despite the fact that they're on the road, and despite the fact that Denver got the first round bye. They're healthier, they're rested, but the Bills are still the favorite. So now, what sense do you make of that?
They want you to bet Denver.
Okay, so they want you to bet Denver because you're getting, what is it, 1.5?
Yeah, I mean it's not a huge one, but they think Buffalo's going to win the game, obviously.
Yeah,
you know, or they wouldn't be favored.
So we saw Josh Allen get a win on the road. Everybody was on Jacksonville. You know, everybody was on Jacksonville. Said, hey, TJ Houshmandzadeh said they're going to beat the crap out of them. And it didn't happen. Josh Allen put the cape on, and he was fantastic. He was the reason they won the game. So now that creates an intriguing question. Do you trust Bo Nix enough at quarterback to beat Josh Allen at quarterback? Now, I know they don't face off against each other because they face off against the opposing defense, but do you trust Bo Nix enough to think that he can get it done?
Well, I love Bo Nix because
he's an Oregon guy. Of course you do.
Yeah, but Allen reminds, some people of John Elway, and the game's in Denver.
Nice.
He's banged up. Allen's banged up, but that's to be expected with the load he carries. I've heard he's got a bad finger on his throwing hand, so we'll see how
he hit a helmet.
That's going to work. Yeah, he's got Curtis Samuel back, so that's good. But Samuel's going to be rusty. The big thing for the Bills, Stan, that I read is Matt Prater all of a sudden showed up on the injury list today or yesterday.
Okay.
And that's their kicker. And he's got a quad and calf injury, no practice. He's a former Bronco. And in this game, in this age of the field goal, that's essential to have
field goals anymore. Everybody goes for it on fourth down now. They don't even care about field goals anymore. But I understand your point.
So Sean Payton, you talk about the coach and the quarterback. Buffalo's got the quarterback, but Denver's got the coach.
Which brings me to, now Sean Payton, for people who may not know, Sean Payton is the king of petty. Okay? He is the king of petty. Okay? And so there's a few things happening here. Okay? First of all, last year in the Wildcard round, they got beat pretty bad, 31-7. The Bills just smacked them around. I am sure that everybody who was on Denver last year playing for Sean Payton in that game has heard about that all week, okay? And somebody shared on social media, and Michael Thomas, the former Saints receiver, confirmed this. Somebody had a picture of the Super Bowl trophy and cash, the total amount of cash that you win as a player for winning the Super Bowl, whatever it is. Sean Payton got that amount of cash in cash dollar bills, okay? Brought in all the cash, brought in a Super Bowl trophy, sat it in the room, and said, when the Saints were going to the playoffs with home field advantage, you want to win all this? Win 3 effing games. Okay? And Michael Thomas confirmed that it was a true story. So, Sean Payton knows how to motivate. He can get guys ready to go. And I'm sure the combination of, I'm sure he's probably done that again. Maybe he's got a picture of it now. If he doesn't want to put the cash on hand there. But that's the kind of motivator he is. And, when you can see it right there, you see that big pile of money and that Super Bowl trophy, that could be a really good motivator. And that loss last year in the wildcard round, first home playoff game in Denver in 2015, and the fact that they're underdogs at their place as the number 1 seed. Oh yeah, those guys are hearing it this week from Sean Payton. And so I would expect Denver to come out, at least initially, with their hair on fire because their coach gonna have them ready to go.
I'll tell you what, you put a boatload of cash in front of me, I'll do this podcast like my hair's on fire 5 days a week. Come on.
See? That's how it works. That's how it works. But the Bills are in the division round for the 6th straight year now. But the difference is no Mahomes, no Burrow, no Lamar Jackson. Okay? And people are talking about, it's a lot of pressure on Josh Allen. It is. It's a lot of pressure, but it's also a great opportunity. You know, it's a great opportunity because I would say, and I imagine he's the best quarterback left.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's the best quarterback left. Maybe Stafford. Stafford.
Yeah,
Allen, which way you going there?
Like if I could have one of the two guys?
You don't have one. Or if somebody asks, who's the best quarterback left in the playoffs? Is it Stafford or Allen?
I'm going to take Allen.
Okay, yeah. So there's my point.
But I'm not going to argue with you if you took Stafford because he's got one under him, and what he did in that final 2 minutes against Carolina. Worth noting, Von Miller, who Stan and I did a This Is SportsCenter commercial with, that I don't think ever ran. I've never seen it.
What was the premise of that commercial? I don't remember what the.
Remember we were in the old LA Times building?
Yeah. And what happened?
And I can't even remember what the catch was, but I just we did it. It was funny when we did it, and not all SportsCenter commercials are created equally.
A cowboy hat or something. I seem to remember a cowboy hat or I think that one was early in the morning, and we had done a show the night before. So I don't remember what it was, but it was a SportsCenter. It may have run, but it had a short run. You know.
Yeah, if you can find it out there to our listeners, if you can
send us
find
a link.
That SportsCenter, send us. So Von Miller says the winner of this game is going to the Super Bowl. He played for both teams.
Okay.
He's calling it the Von Bowl, and he's got the Broncos winning by 10.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, we got to give a shout out to Jesh Leg, who gave two subscription gifts, JSHLEG, one to bartender Captain Jameson, and the other one to R's 8-piece. So good on Jesh Leg, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that, JSCH 1 egg. It's probably something funnier than me writing it out, but good on him, man. Good on you. We appreciate it.
All right, a couple other things from the Buffalo-Denver game. Some of the matchups to watch. Tala Hufanga, big help with Denver's run game. He's second-team All-Pro, and Buffalo, they ran and passed against them last year in that Wildcard game. They won 31-7, and the word is that Denver went out and got Hufanga specifically to help with their run defense, hoping that it would pay off in a situation like this. So, James Cook led the league in rushing this season. So Buffalo going to try to establish the run, you would think. And another key matchup, Nick Bonito, everything pass rusher, not that stout against the run. And last year, Buffalo ran at him, and so they're probably going to do it again. Deion Dawkins outweighs him by a lot, the Buffalo tackle. And so that's going to be a matchup to watch. On rundowns, you would think Dawkins has a big advantage. On passing downs, it's going to be up to Dawkins to stop Bonito in that pass rush. And remember, the Broncos don't have J.K. Dobbins, who was their starting running back. Buffalo cannot stop the run. They cannot stop the run. So Denver's going to want to run the ball. So R.J. Harvey and Jaleel McLaughlin, not household names, could be unlikely playoff heroes for Denver if they could get the run game going. And then, Nix can add to the running game as well because he can move. So that'll be a fun game to watch as well.
Vance Joseph is a hot talk about one of those openings too, the Broncos defensive coordinator. I think he's visited with 7 teams already.
Wow. Really interesting what he did.
Excuse me. 7 teams have requested an interview with him. That's what I should say.
Yeah, really interesting what he did. He got fired in Denver as the head coach, and then went back as defensive coordinator and said, hey, I'm going to, build on my strengths. So kind of did the same thing that Brian Flores did, and both of them trying to get another shot now as head coaches. So we'll see
Robert
how that all
Saleh,
shakes
too,
out.
I think, at San Francisco.
Oh, yeah, Saleh, yeah, same thing.
Yep.
Denver 8-1. Denver 8-1 at home. Keep that in mind as well. All right, 49ers going to Seattle, played twice already this season, split the series. Most recently, week 18, Seattle beat the 49ers 13-3. What do you have on that one?
Well, first, Dan, we got to talk about the Philly game, because we're not a calling people out show, but right now we're going to be, because Nick Sirianni, you cannot run down the sideline to get into a player's face like he did with A.J. Brown. And I'm not the president of the A.J. Brown fan club by any means.
Yeah.
But you can't, that's just not a good look. It's not a professional look. It kind of was a microcosm of, okay, what's wrong with Philly?
Yeah.
Well, that right there, that starts with that, because there's obviously you just can't do that. So I needed to get, you can't lose your cool with a player during a game.
Right, because at some point you're going to have to tell your players to keep their composure, and you didn't really set a great example.
Yeah, never he went after a fan once too. So it's like, come on, Nick, you got a Super Bowl, just lighten up. So
okay, so my question, since you brought it up, we'll get to San Francisco, Seattle in just a minute. Let's stay on Philly for a minute. How long does the Super Bowl halo last? If they don't, do they have to get back to the Super Bowl next year, or Sirianni's out?
I don't think so. I mean, two teams are getting back to the Super Bowl, and you got half a chance with being one of them. No, but they need to be, they need to be a more consistent team offensively. They got a pretty good, solid defense. I think he fired the offensive.
They can't become consistent offensive because they keep changing systems. And so now Jalen Hurts is going to have another. Kevin Patullo fired. Jalen Hurts is going to have another offensive coordinator coming in. Now, look, Hurts is not going to throw for 350 every game and go win you the game, but they're not constructed in a way that he has to. They're constructed in a way that they can run the ball with Saquon Barkley. They need him to make timely throws, get involved somewhat in the running game. I understand a part of the frustration with, at least from a fan perspective, is that Hurts doesn't run the way he used to run, that they want him to be more of a pocket passer, or he wants to be more of a pocket passer, and so he doesn't run, and their offense is not as effective when he's not picking up yards on those RPOs. So that's something for the new offensive coordinator, whoever he is, to come in and try to sort out. But just offensively, you're right. They have been underachieving, because if you look at what they have, Saquon Barkley, for my money, the best running back in the league. A.J. Brown, big, physical, fast receiver. Devontae Smith, another really good receiver. Good tight end in Goddard. Good offensive line. I mean, their offense should not be a question, really, anytime. And it has been a question several times this season. And so they have to get that sorted out. But again, you're going into an offseason where you're retooling everything on offense. So I think that covers it with Philly. Let's move on to the 49ers, who beat them this past week. And I am convinced Kyle Shanahan, the job that he's a wizard. Because the job that he's doing, like, guys just go down and he's like, okay, next man up has really been the thing for the 49ers this season. And that comes down to coaching. And Saleh, I saw my postman here today in my building, and I'm not really sure about this, but he might have been playing linebacker for the 49ers this past weekend. They kind of look alike. It might have been him, because I don't know who those guys were playing for the 49ers on defense. But it might have been my post. I think it might be him. But but still, it's amazing what they've done with guys who they weren't counting on when the season started.
Yeah, San Francisco won at Seattle week 1.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, beat them week 1. I think that was in Santa Clara, or wherever
was.
San Francisco plays.
I think.
Then Seattle beat them 2 weeks ago, 13-3.
13-3. Yep.
Trent Williams did not play in that game. Left tackle for the 49ers.
Yeah.
Seattle's defense, especially its defensive line, problematic for the 49ers 2 weeks ago. A stat that jumped off the page to me, Stan. And by the way, speaking of jumping off the page, we got a shout. We got some people, Stan. We got over 5,000 watching.
We appreciate every single one of you.
Lurk said, hold on here. Lurk said, very familiar faces. Glad to see you cats back doing something. Something like that. It's moving so fast on me, Lurk. These guys would be in it. All right. And then somebody asked, isn't Stan still at ESPN? They said, no, Stan retired. So one dude's
I'm not retired.
AOL.
Stop it. I'm not retired.
Retired from ESPN. I don't remember either of these Civil War vets, but I'm into That's funny. I'm interested in what they're saying. Apparently, my video quality stinks. We got a lot of comments. Some OGs, appreciate that. Stan works with the Clippers and Saints. Neil works with the Blazers. There's somebody who's on top of it.
Yeah.
Lurk says we just got a little bit more gray. That's all it is. So we appreciate all of you. Okay, the stat that jumps off the page to me: San Francisco best in the NFL when you're talking third down success. Seattle's defense the best at stopping teams on third down. So can you put it in a little jar and says whoever wins the battle of third downs is going to win this game? Probably not, but it's a good thing when you're watching that game on Saturday. When you notice either San Francisco getting a first down off a third down situation or Seattle stopping them, that was a key to the game.
Seattle, 7.5-point favorites. If that number stands, it'll be the biggest margin for San Francisco as an underdog in more than 40 years. And, look, this has been a fantastic run for Kyle Shanahan. But I think it comes to an end this week. But then again, I said that last week against the Eagles. They were 5.5-point underdogs against Philly, and they go into Philly and they win. But they lost George Kittle now. Ricky Pearsall may or may not play this week. So there's an even bigger burden on Christian McCaffrey now to really do big things. Juwan Jennings has been good for them. But I'll just say this. They beat the Eagles last week, and they had Kittle for at least a part of that game, okay? But the offensive coordinator for Philly was Kevin Patullo, and he's been fired, okay? The offensive coordinator for Seattle is Clint Kubiak, and he's getting head coaching interviews. And I think that's the difference. They won't be able to stop Seattle's offense the way they stopped Philly's offense. Seattle doesn't have Philly problems unless Sam Darnold shows up. Now, if Sam Darnold's there, they're fine. If Sam Darnold shows up throwing those interceptions, then there could be a problem. Turnovers can change games very quickly. But I think nobody knows that more than Sam Darnold, and this is his chance, to be who he was supposed to be when he was drafted. And I think Seattle gets it done. I don't really anticipate it's going to be close.
They say Seattle's the toughest place to play also for visiting teams because of the noise and energy that the 12th man brings. So that's also advantageous. And
you know what I heard about that? I heard that the aluminum that they used to build the stadium, the bleachers, something, but there's some kind of aluminum that they used in Seattle with the express intent of it increasing the noise. That noise bouncing off of it or whatever, but supposedly the stadium is constructed for fan noise to be at its peak. And that's a part of the reason why. I also heard, and maybe you can tell me if this is true, that in Seattle, not as many women go to the game as maybe in other NFL cities. So it's sort of like European soccer. In Europe, there hardly any women go to these soccer matches in Europe. And somebody told me, and I don't know how true it is, just people say stuff, somebody said that not as many women go to the game in Seattle, and dudes are like, boozing up and yelling and screaming, and that's why it's louder. That's another reason why it's louder than any other state. Now, again, I don't know if that's true or not, but it's interesting that it's an outdoor stadium, but still as loud or louder than some domes. So maybe it's a conspiracy theory. Who knows? But I found it interesting. Both theories to be interesting.
That's interesting. I had not heard that. I'll check with some of my male friends if they think that's the case when they go root the Seahawks on.
All right, Rams and Bears.
Yeah.
LA 4.5-point favorites in Chicago, and it's supposed to be really, really cold in Chicago. So you got a West Coast team going into Chicago in Chicago weather, and they're road favorites.
Yeah, they're begging
what do you have there?
Take the Bears. Well, they're begging you to take the Bears, I think.
Yeah.
You know what? Coach for the Bears, Ben Johnson, he's had the team practicing all season without heaters to be ready for a moment like this. 14 degrees, snow flurries, going to be windy, bear weather at its best. Last time these two played in the playoffs, you might remember this, Stan, 1986. That's in our wheelhouse. Wilbur Marshall.
Civil War veterans.
Yeah, exactly. This is get some chat. We got a lot of people shouting at us, which is nice. But Wilbur Marshall picked up a fumble and scored just as the snow started to fall, and that's kind of the game that they point back to as one of them where they coined bear weather or bear. How about this? 15th different. Sean McVay's been to the postseason 15 times. 15th different opponent. Is that even possible?
Wow.
That means he's.
Wow.
I guess it is.
Really interesting. Yeah.
I mean, I read it on the internet. It must be true. But this one's going to be colder than any of the others. And, the Rams, they got to be jazzed getting out of Carolina with that win. Carolina had no business losing that game.
Everybody said, watch out for the Bears in the second half. Watch out for the Bears in the second half. And it was the Bears in the second half. Look, it's the situation with the Bears and their defense is what's really intriguing because they got 23 interceptions, led the NFL. But when they don't get interceptions, they get torched, They gave up the Rams gave up 264 yards to Carolina. So their pass rush is great, but they gave up 264 yards through the air if the pass rush doesn't get there. So when the Rams throw the ball, either the Bears are going to intercept it or there's going to be a big play. And then when the Bears throw the ball, either the Rams are going to sack them or it's going to be a big play. So it's kind of feast or famine with game-changing plays, based on those tendencies. Both teams run the ball well, which helps in cold weather. The Bears are 4th in run rating according to Pro Football Focus. The Rams are 5th. Both of them have two-headed monsters in their backfields. So this is an intriguing matchup. The thing is, just like with Drake May and Bo Nix, we got to find out if Caleb Williams is ready. Is he ready to take this step against a good team? And for the Rams, you have to go on the road to Chicago in that situation because your division was so good. The Rams are on the road coming out of the NFC West because Seattle was so good and won the division, and they came in as a wild card. So now they're on the road. So it's one of those years where you got Carolina getting in from the NFC South, which was competitive, but at a very low level. And then you have the NFC West, which was very competitive at a very high level. And the Rams are paying for that, having to go to chilly Chicago. But as you said, they didn't use the heaters, so maybe that'll help. Because I don't know if you can simulate that Chicago cold, though. 2006, the Saints went to the NFC Championship game at Soldier Field, and I went to that game and sat outdoors in that game. I wasn't in a suite or in the press box. I sat in the stands with the fans, and I had on thermal underwear and then a shirt and then a jacket, and then a big long overcoat on top of that. I had on a ski cap, boots, everything, and it was still cold. And so it's shout out to the people in Chicago who do that, for the whole month of December and January, because I'm used to football in the 71-degree comfort of a dome. And so those outdoor games aren't exactly appealing to me. But fans there, I'm sure it'll be packed. Soldier Field, great atmosphere this past week.
Yeah.
When they showed a shot of the stadium with the skyline in the background, light dusting, the snow coming down, and the people going crazy, and it was like, okay, that's a great football image right there. Not for me, but hey, great football image for people who like freezing.
Yeah, they talk about the Bears' defense is weak, but you know what Green Bay's talking about, the Bears' defense, because they were held to 6 yards and 6 points, 6 rushing yards and 6 points in the second half of that game.
Yeah, that was weird because Green Bay, man, LaFleur was dialing it up in the first half. I mean, the play design, the concepts, everything was working, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be a blowout here. And then all of a sudden, the Bears, as they've done so many times this season, found the magic in the second half. And so, maybe Caleb Williams is the guy with the rabbit's foot, not Kyle Shanahan.
7th comeback win of the season. So, although
We'll see.
Matthew Stafford's had 42 fourth quarter comebacks, of course, that's over a longer stretch of time. He's in his 17th season. What else do you want to talk about regarding the NFL, Stan?
One other thing, and Tony Dungy brought this up about the scheduling and about how for some teams it's not really fair. So the Rams and Bears play on Sunday, okay? They both played on Saturday, so they get an extra day. They get a week and a day to get ready, okay? The Texans play on Sunday, and they played Monday night, okay? So they get a short week, and then the 49ers play on Saturday, and they played on Sunday, so they get a short week too. And, Coach Dungy says, look, this time of year, every day that you get to recover and treat nicks and bruises makes a difference come game time. And so the NFL needs to figure out a way where, hey, if you play on Saturday in the wildcard round, then you play on Saturday in the divisional round. But of course, TV comes into that because TV wants its matchups when it wants its matchups. And so, that's going to dictate the schedule more so than what's fair for the teams. And Tony Dungy thinks that needs to be addressed. Fair point?
Well, yeah, absolutely, and you wonder why is one game here and who Prime got the Bears and Packers game, which could have been the game everybody wanted to watch, and you had to have a subscription to Amazon Prime to watch it. So the league's got they're playing chess or checkers with who's gonna play when and where and what network and all that. A lot of mouths to feed and a lot of people to make happy. But when one team's getting you can just say, well, it's just a day. What difference is a day? Makes a big difference in the NFL.
Yeah. Absolutely.
These guys are beating the hell out of each other. So I think that's that's a valid point.
Two teams get 8 days, and then two teams get 6 days. Then it becomes a 2-day spread, and that's I'm not good at math. That's a 33% more. I think
good to me.
33% more recovery time. 6 as opposed to 8. I don't know.
It looks good, Stan. Call Me East Coast just purchased a subscription. I'm getting a lot of hits on. I'm using dial-up apparently. Actually, the blur that you guys see out there, that is actually the state of mind I live in. So, therefore, I am blurry. Huh? One guy, Devin, wrote that you blocked him on Twitter.
He probably came to me about some foolishness. So look, I have very strict rules on Twitter. If you come to my feed with just unnecessary rudeness or personal insults or anything like that, I just block you. Like, it's my feed. I control what happens there. And so if you come with foolishness, you get blocked. And so if I find a way to block him on here, I'm going to do it there too. So,
he hasn't been foolish on here. He hasn't been foolish on here.
Okay, good. Maybe he learned his lesson.
Yeah,
Mind your manners,
yeah.
and you can participate on Stan Verrett's X feed. If you don't, you will get blocked. It's a privilege, not a right.
He's come back, and now I see why you blocked him.
I think I know what the topic matter was and why I blocked him. We'll get to that in just a second. But first, let's talk about Miami and Indiana national championship game. Now,
well, you wanted to talk about the reporter after that Jacksonville game, Stan. I don't want you to forget that.
Yeah, we can do it. We can do that first. Okay, so now, let me see. I wrote down the relevant facts. Okay, yeah. So her name is Lynn Jones Turpin. She is a reporter for the Jacksonville Free Press, which is a black newspaper in Jacksonville. She's been there for a long time, for 30 years, according to what I've seen. And at the press conference after Jacksonville lost that heartbreaker to Buffalo the other day, in the post-game news conference, when it was her turn to speak, she didn't ask a question. She gave Liam Cohen, first-year coach of the Jaguars, a pep talk. Keep your head up. You've been great for this community, and we're a team on the rise, and yada. You've done a great job, coach. You've done a great job. Yeah, well, okay. So then, but she didn't ask a question. It was just kind of a pep talk. Okay. So then Adam Schefter from ESPN, their NFL insider, he posted on his X account that it was an awesome moment between a reporter and Liam Cohen. And then, of course, a lot of reporters jumped in and said, no, it's not an awesome moment, because what she did was make a statement when the purpose of that news conference is to ask questions. And you have people there on deadline who are trying to get their stories done. And so reporters spoke to it from a media perspective, and fans spoke to it from a fan perspective. Now, I'm sure you know how the media is, especially the mainstream media, is perceived by a lot of fans. They just don't like the media, which in a lot of cases is understandable. And so there was this big dichotomy in terms of the reaction to what she did. And I just want to get your thoughts on it. Like, I don't think it was a big deal. Like, it really wasn't a big deal. But it was inappropriate. It wasn't the time and place for it. But it's not a big deal. It's like, okay, if somebody says it was awesome and you're a reporter who's on deadline in there and you're trying to get your work done, and somebody's giving the coach a pep talk, yeah, it's a slight annoyance. That's not a big deal, but that's not what's supposed to happen in there. But fans are like, no, my God, don't you guys hate puppies and sunshine, and you guys are terrible. And it just morphed into this whole thing. Now, if you're really interested in it, I can point you to Candace Buckner, who writes for the Washington Post. She wrote a great piece on it today about, because, then other people started chiming in. Pat McAfee chimed in like, oh, yeah, all these sports writers, they hate sports and they hate the fans and they hate everybody. But me, I love it. It's like, come on. Okay, he's jumping on the bandwagon, trying to ride her popularity. She's become very popular now. She's done a lot of media appearances. And by all indications, she is a fantastic woman, as evidenced by the fact that she was overcome with emotion. Like, if you've ever been a fan of a team and really given your heart and soul to that team, you totally get what she was feeling in that moment. Like, as a diehard Saints fan, I would be feeling the exact same thing in that moment, okay? But as a reporter, I would exercise the restraint to not feel like I need to do that right there. I'd do it before or after, or I would get back to my place of broadcasting or publishing or whatever, and I would write a very glowing piece or do a very glowing report on Liam Cohen when I'm not taking up time in the news conference. And I didn't think it was that big a deal, but fans really hated that reporter said, hey, wait a minute now, that's not the place for that. Where do you come down on this?
Well, I think if she'd probably follow, first of all, it depends how long her praise was.
It was like 25 seconds.
Oh, yeah, but she probably would have helped herself had she followed with a question.
With a question. Exactly.
If she'd followed with a question after saying that, probably would have been. I mean, listen, no, the reporters never. The one that gets me is when the guys show up with their kids on their lap. Reporters never
players or coaches.
Yeah, the players. Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Or if a coach showed up with a kid, and it's like that's not the time or place for that either. But you don't read about nobody gets skewered for it. It's just like it is what it is, and it's not. Right. We're not curing cancer at the NFL. Okay,
exactly.
It's just like there's so much shit going on in this world, and you want to make a big deal of that. It's let's.
And it's funny because like on my X feed, it went on for like a day and a half. And some of the people were really stupid, and I blocked the stupid people, but I engaged with a lot of other more rational. No, I mean, like, look, there's no IQ test to get an iPhone. So you got a lot of idiots out there, okay? And so I give idiots the idiot treatment. But there were a lot of other people who I engaged with because they really wanted to have a discourse about it. They wanted to have a dialogue about it. And so we did. And I was trying to get them to understand that there's a difference between a fan and a reporter. Like when I go to Saints games, I host the Saints pregame show, okay, for the team, okay? And then because I want to experience the game as a fan, I go sit in my seat in the stands. I don't sit in the press box because I take the reporter hat off, the host hat off, and I become a fan at that point. And it's not appropriate for me, even as the same person who just hosted the pregame show, to sit in the press box as a fan. I want to cheer. I want to use your analogy, read a book or two during the game. And so, I visit the library in the stadium, one of the many libraries in the Mercedes, in the Caesar Superdome. Okay. But I think it got out of control because there so many people put too much emotion behind both sides of it. You know what I mean? Because there's, and that's kind of what Candace Buckner hit on in her article, that there was a real lack of understanding of the difference between fans and reporters on the part of fans. And from the fan perspective, and I think this is a great point, a lot of fans said, hey, look, we liked what she did more than we like what you guys do. Like, we got a bigger kick out of seeing that than we got out of, hey, coach, in the third quarter, your running game kind of went. Yeah. They said they got a bigger kick out of seeing that because it was human and it was empathetic. And look, that's a valid point, very valid point. But it was really interesting. It was one of those signs of our times now, where something relatively inconsequential can morph into something that prompts this much discussion. But I think after it's all said and done, I think fans and reporters both understand each other a little better now. I don't know that people, have any better impression of reporters. They still think, TV reporters, especially and newspaper reporters, are still, stuffy, stuck-up media elites or whatever, who think that, the press room is sacred, like it's a temple or something. But it's not. It's just a workplace and not a fan place. So anyway, I thought it was really interesting. And again, I really enjoyed the dialogue with the people who were reasonable.
One of the chatters out here, and I didn't get the name down, said it was mostly the national people having a fit over it because the local reporter got the props. And,
no, I don't believe that that's accurate. I mean, look, Ms. Jones has benefited from this greatly. They've got T-shirts with a part of her pep talk on it to support the Jacksonville Free Press, which I understand does some great work in the Jacksonville Black community. So if you're so inclined, you can find those shirts online. It's got her picture on it and a part of her chat. And look, she was on the news in Jacksonville on Monday, and she's like, hey, look, I've interviewed Barack Obama and Tiger Woods and everybody during my tenure. So, I mean, look, she's going to be a civic icon more than she already is. And good for her. I'm by all accounts, she seems like a magnificent woman, and her compassion and empathy for the coach and for her city that, she's from Detroit originally, but she's lived in Jacksonville for a long time. I mean, look, any sports fan gets that. Any sports fan gets that. But with what reporters were trying to say is, right sentiment, wrong place. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
All right, national championship game. Indiana and Miami.
Well, I love Miami because Mario Cristobal was a former Oregon coach, and he won us a Rose Bowl. He took a lot of heat for leaving Eugene, but I couldn't blame him. A lot of people are, he's not the most popular former Oregon coach because he left, but, he's Cuban American, and he went to the U, and he said he was going to go down there and compete for a national championship. I know he loved being a Duck, but sometimes sometimes situations are presented that he had two great choices, and the one he picked meant that the other one didn't feel as great. And I think at the University of Oregon, they had already lost their Willie Taggart had left to go to Florida State. That didn't work out well for him. Karma. Mario was with Oregon a longer time. Like I said, won a Rose Bowl, but I couldn't blame him for going. That being said, I can't see how anybody would pick against Indiana the way they've looked.
Right. Exactly. So there's been a lot of talk about Indiana's roster, as people have looked at this and said, hey, look, how are they doing this? Like, how do you go from what they were to what they are now? And so people really started digging into it. And there was a story that went around that turned out to be false, and it was on the internet. So it turns out something on the internet wasn't true, as it turns out, that the average age of Indiana's players was like 24 years old, which isn't true. But they do have some very experienced players. Like when they went to the transfer portal, one of the things they looked for apparently was experience. And so they have a lot of guys who played a lot of college football, and as a result, they're a little older than a program similarly situated before the transfer portal was what it is, would be. And so, I hope it doesn't become a thing where that's the reason why people would put an asterisk next to this or whatever, because they are playing within the rules. But it appears to be a very smart strategy by Curt Cignetti and his program. When you go to the transfer portal, don't just look for players who can play, look for players who have played. Okay? And then you bring not only experience, but also the difference in man muscles between an 18 or 19-year-old and a 22 or 23-year-old. Now, I also saw a story, interestingly enough, and I'm going to see if I can pull it up here, that Miami starters are older by almost 3 months. So when people started looking at the Miami roster, they said, okay, let's see how they compare to Indiana. And so, again, you can do your own research on this if you're really interested in it. But apparently, it's a fair fight. So we'll see. We'll see how it works out. But people are throwing around all kind of numbers, like, Indiana, they got Civil War veterans out there playing for them. As somebody called us earlier in the show, if you're just joining us.
And somebody said, Colored TV Pod Stan said, can we just give Stan a shout out for having Balderdash on his gaming shelf?
I think that's my wife's game, Balderdash.
Oh, okay. I don't even know what it is, but
it's a board game. Wow, people all up on. I got to make sure I don't have anything inappropriate up there.
Yeah.
People all up on your bookshelf.
Zooming in, man. I think for the first thing is you talk about the players. The first thing is it's the coach. They brought in a coach who changed the culture. I mean, entering this season, Indiana had the most losses of any team in FBS history.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so they got him in, and then he brought some dudes from James Madison who he'd already coached up. And in 1 year, he changed the culture. He made the field last year, and now he's, and you got to love a guy who at the end of at his interview, when the reporter asked him something about the next game. He said, "I'm not thinking about the next game. I'm thinking about cracking open a beer."
Exactly.
So that's it's hard to root against a guy like that. But you've got two guys who came to programs, said they were going to change the culture. Cristobal said, "I'm going to change the culture. We're going to be a tough physical football team like we were when I played there." Talking for Cristobal, he's done that. And then you have Kurt Signetti, who said, "We're going to be relevant. We're going to change the culture. You're not losers." And he's done that. So it's two programs that have done some impressive things in a short period of time.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Miami can get Malachi Tony going, because man, he's an exciting player to watch.
Oh,
they got to get the ball into his hands. Mark Fletcher's got to run the ball. But it'll be interesting. Miami at home. I mean, what an interesting story. Fernando Mendoza grew up not too far from Miami's campus and dreamt of being a Cane, almost became a Cane, but then decided to go to Indiana because of what Signetti built there, and he thought he had a better chance to get it done at Indiana. Now he goes home to play. Miami already at home in their stadium. I mean, they're great storylines no matter how it turns out. But at the end of the night, will Michael Irvin still be wearing a belt or not?
That's funny because I was just thinking of Michael Irvin too. What's the prop bet on the number of cutaways of Michael Irvin during the show?
Or the number of lashes he deals out if Miami wins the game. How many lashes
he'll be
does he
crazy.
give Indiana with the belt?
He'll be double digit. Bet the over. Yeah.
Yeah. You see, he's got a show coming out on Netflix now. Michael Irvin.
Does. Eventually you work for every network if you stay in this long enough.
All right. What else do we need to cover? NBA trades. There's none yet, but I was talking to Mike Fratello on Countdown Live on FanDuel Sports Network, a show I host. It was on earlier today. And Mike Fratello is like, he's never seen anything like this in terms of the number of star players who are or could be or are rumored to be on the trading block. And he thinks it could be a very wild trade deadline in 3 weeks.
Well, the two that jump off the page to me would be Ja Morant and Anthony Davis. And you already saw one go in Trae Young for two players, no picks or anything, which says how little Atlanta thought of Trae Young by the time they sent him to Washington.
Yeah, they did really well with Jalen Johnson running the show there. So they they played well without him. So they figured, hey, we can go on without him. And they get some salary relief because he was making a lot of money. Yeah. Then Zion Williamson could be gone from New Orleans. Who else? I mean, Giannis. I mean, I don't know if you saw the thing last night with Giannis where he booed the crowd and gave them a thumbs down when they started booing the Bucks. So I don't know if that's going to start up again now. He says he's never asked for a trade, wants to be in Milwaukee, but a little frustration showed last night. And then, there's a lot of big names. Jaren Jackson Jr. in Memphis. Supposedly they'll listen. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that.
Well, yeah, it's gonna be exciting, and the NBA is gonna take center stage midway through next month when the NFL has called it quits. And when we come back next Wednesday, we'll know who the national champion in college football was, and we'll have more NFL for you as well. Another great weekend for sports watching, and we appreciate all you folks who tuned in to us here. Some great comments on the chat. It moves so fast, I can't get it up. But we really do appreciate it. Over 6,000 people.
And I can't tell you how many times I run into people and they say, "Hey, we really enjoy watching you and Neil on SportsCenter. What have you been up to? What are you guys doing?" Well, this is what we're doing, a part of what we're doing. And so if you're so inclined, tell your friends. If you enjoy the show, help us spread the word because, we used to not need any promotion back when in our other job. It was everywhere. And so, you go in the airport lounge, there we are. You go in a restaurant, there we are. Go to a bar, there we are. And so now we really do need the promotional help. So help us spread the word. about the Stan and Neil show because we really enjoy doing it. Our motivation for doing it was we just enjoy hanging out with each other, talking sports. And we did it here on Twitch because we can get you guys involved in the conversation as well through your comments in the chat. So that's why we're here. That's what we're doing. Please help us spread the word if you enjoyed the show.
Color TV Pod, just subscribed at Tier 1. We appreciate you, man. You've been a good chatter today. And Lurk 504, lots of fun, guys. And we'll work on my dial-up phone cord or whatever whatever we're doing.
Neil is using the Wi-Fi from the McDonald's down the street from his house. So that's why he's...
And before we go, Stan, we got, producer Jeff, he made a brief on-camera cameo last week. We couldn't hear him, but I think he has something he wants to point out before we go. There he is from an underground bunker in an undisclosed location.
Yeah.
Are
you announcing a sponsor?
Yeah. All right, I got one thing before we go here that I wanted to point out.
All right.
Since we're talking NBA,
the
next Steph Curry, I got him. All right? You guys want to see
Con Knipple.
Huh? Here we go. There he is. Cannon Curry, 7 years old. At a recent game.
Like Steph, don't he?
Watch this. Just look at him. All right, he's there with Aisha, but there we go.
Okay.
Live commentary. Come on, what do you think?
Hey, look, I saw his dad. So you remember when Steph first got in the league, all anybody did was just try to run him off the three-point line. And I saw him doing that exact drill in one offseason. There it is. There it is. And that helped him become the player that he is because when people ran him off the three-point line, he said, okay, fine, I need to be able to handle it and dish it to other people if they're going to try to run me off the line. And there you go, like father, like son.
That's not bad. Neil, what do we think?
Tough act to follow. Get on. I'm amazed at how much he looks like his daddy right there. I remember my first taste of Steph Curry was when he was playing for Davidson. I'd never heard of it, and it was the NCAA tournament, and they were playing Gonzaga, America's team. I'm in the Las Vegas airport watching from one of their libraries, and all of a sudden I'm like, who's this 12-year-old who's killing Gonzaga right now?
Right.
And it was Steph Curry, and the baby-faced assassin knocked Gonzaga out, and I never forgot him from that day on, and he's done nothing but make you remember him, not only for the kind of player he is, but Stan and I, we did a commercial with him, one we remember, and it's just a down-to-earth, good dude, you know, and a guy you'd want to hang out with and BS with, and really enjoyed spending a little time with him.
And did a tremendous thing for the golf program at Howard University, my alma mater. He's been their biggest sponsor. Oh, producer Jeff's alma mater as well. He's been a real blessing to the golf program there, and really made a difference in the athletes' lives at Howard, the players on both the men's and women's golf team. And while we're on the Curry family, we have to congratulate Del Curry because the Hornets are retiring his number. They announced that, it was either yesterday or today, they announced that they're going to retire his number. He's their second all-time leading scorer, and they're going to retire his number. So more kudos to the Curry family.
Can I get one more quick thing? Stan, were you at the Warriors-Clippers game the other day when Snoop Dogg was there?
I was not at that game. That was an Amazon game or there was a Peacock game.
Okay.
And so we didn't do the pregame or postgame show, so I had a night off.
You might want to call him Snoop Cosell after this. Listen to this reaction to a little Steve Kerr kerfuffle.
Go to the rack, Draymond, all the way. Good pass. Ooh! Ooh, he snapped the break. He Windex shine that. Get off the Windex shine.
That hit the backboard. Oh, look at Steve Kerr. He's all the way out here.
Uh-oh, Steve, don't get thrown out. Get him out of there. Get him out of there. Back him up, GP. Back him up, Steve, ready to fire on him.
He's already gone.
Steve banging Inglewood right now. Inglewood, get him, Steve. You in Inglewood, Steve. The Arizona Wildcat that came out and look at it.
Oh, he was living.
Steve ready to get him. Look at him. That's that Arizona Wildcat. Somebody hold me back. Get my purse. Hold me back.
So, Steve Kerr, actually Palisades, not Inglewood, but but we get the point. And look, Neil, you remember? I mean, we've had countless interactions with Snoop over the years, but I don't know if you remember when he came into the studio, and I said, "Hey, Snoop, if we put a beat on right now, could you just do like a SportsCenter freestyle?" And he's like, "Hey, nephew, can LeBron make a layup? Start the beat." And so the director put the beat on, and he's like, "It's Snoop Dogg, keeping it real on SportsCenter with my man Stan and Neil." And he just went on for like 3 or 4 minutes, just off the cuff, making a SportsCenter rap. It was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. And like I ambushed him. And he just, he's like, "Hey man, I'm a rapper. That's what I do." So there you go.
We needed somebody rolling film on that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you remember when he came in and he did top plays with us that time.
Oh yeah. He was
And he
tight.
was like, "Threes, please." When a guy hit a 3-pointer, he's like, "Threes, please." He was making up catchphrases on the go, just like he did in that game.
I stole threes, please from him after that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, that's it.
All right, brother.
We got to go.
Have a good weekend, everybody. We'll see you next Wednesday. Coach D, hit it.
Let's go.
How's it? Do you know what time it is?
Let's go. The Stan and Neil Show. 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 With Stan.
Oh, Stan, he's the man. And who's Stan's biggest fan? Well,
It's Neil.
And Neil, oh Neil, he keeps it real. And that's why Neil's the deal. Stan and Neil back together again, spreading the love with all their old friends.
Let's go.
Stan and Neil back together for years, keeping it cool, 'cause clothes are raw. The Stan and Neil Show. 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 The Stan and Neil Show.
Yeah. All right, let me hear it all back. See what we got so far.
So, shout out to Coach D for the jingle, the Stan and Neil jingle.